A letter, in an age of instant digital connection, is a gesture that speaks of formality, of distance, and of a final, fragile thread. And according to sources close to both sides of an ocean-wide chasm, it is the latest, and perhaps last, attempt in a series of failed communications. The Duchess of Sussex has reportedly sent a handwritten letter to her father, Thomas Markle. But in the brutal calculus of public perception and private agony, insiders whisper the window for reconciliation is not just closing, it is sealing shut. This is Royal Report 24/7, and we are examining the heartbreaking optics of a daughter's outreach that, despite its intention, may be deepening the very wound it seeks to heal. This is not about blame, but about the tragic mechanics of estrangement when played out on a global stage. For this sensitive analysis, you need to be here. Subscribe and hit the bell. The reported facts are these. Through intermediaries, Meghan has made several attempts over the past months to establish direct, private contact with her ailing father. These have allegedly been rebuffed or gone unanswered. The letter, described as lengthy and personal, is said to be a final, structured effort to convey her perspective, her hurt, and possibly a path forward. But the very act of sending it and the context in which it lands creates a devastating perception problem. Why it doesn't look good, the public narrative one. The lag of the letter. In a crisis, a phone call is urgent. A text is immediate. A letter is slow, considered, and, crucially, documentary. In the core of public opinion, its pace reads as hesitation, as bureaucracy of the heart. It feels less like a desperate daughter's cry and more like a legal or diplomatic overture. It formalizes the personal, making it feel transactional at the very moment it needs to feel raw. Point 2. The medium as the message. A handwritten letter can be beautiful, personal, and profound, but it is also a one-way broadcast. It does not allow for interruption, for question, for the messy, real-time exchange that reconciliation requires. It can be perceived as a monologue, not the opening of a dialogue. It allows Meghan to say her piece, but it does not invite her father to say his in return, at least not to her directly. Point 3. The unavoidable shadow of the past. This echoes with painful symmetry the letter she sent him in 2018, which later became the centerpiece of his legal case against the Mail on Sunday. That history casts a long shadow. Any letter now enters a poisoned ecosystem where trust is obliterated. Will be kept private, or does it risk becoming another piece of evidence in the ongoing public war of narratives? The gesture is inherently fraught with the history of its predecessor. The closing window, a medical and emotional reality sources close to Thomas Markle suggest his health is declining in a way that makes complex emotional labor increasingly difficult. The window isn't just emotional, it is cognitive and physical. The time for navigating years of layered grievance, hurt, and public betrayal is running out against a biological clock. Every day of silence, of failed connection, makes the possibility of a coherent, meaningful resolution less likely. From Meghan's perspective, as interpreted by her allies, the letter is the safest, most dignified method in an impossible situation. A direct call could be recorded, manipulated, or met with hostility. A public statement would be crass. The letter represents a controlled, heartfelt, and private effort to reach across the void where all other channels have failed. It is in this light an act of courage and final effort. But in the cruel theater of public perception, where every move is dissected, the optics are brutal. It looks like too little, too late. It looks like a carefully managed PR strategy rather than a primal familial urge. It looks to a world that craves simple narratives of good and evil, like a box being ticked rather than a bridge being built. The tragic truth may be that there is no move left that does look good. The rift has been monetized, litigated, and publicized to such an extent that any gesture is automatically filtered through suspicion and past betrayal. The letter may be a sincere offering, but it lands on a doorstep surrounded by landmines. The window is closing. Not because of a lack of trying, but because the very tools left to try with Words on a page, sent through intermediaries, are insufficient to rebuild what has been so completely and so publicly demolished. The letter is sent. The silence that follows may be the loudest reply of all. At Royal Report 24/7, we examine the human tragedies that play out in the royal spotlight. This is a story of fractured love, where every attempt at repair only seems to widen the crack. To follow this painful, unfolding final chapter, stay with us. Subscribe now, reflect with a like, share this sensitive analysis, and ring that bell. Some windows close not with a slam, but with the faint, heartbreaking sound of a sealed envelope. This is Royal Report 24/7.